Hello, students. Today we will read Chapter 4, Second Phase of the Indian National Movement. So, all of you open page 44. Okay? Page 44, Second Phase of the Indian National Movement. Lord Curzon announced the partition of Bengal on July 20th, 1905 and divided Bengal into two parts, Eastern Bengal and Assam and the rest of the Bengal. Bengal, which included the western districts of Bengal proper, Bihar, and Odisha with a population of 54 million, Calcutta was made its capital. Then Eastern Bengal and Assam, which comprised the eastern districts of Bengal proper and Assam with a population of 31 million. Dhaka was the capital of the new province of Eastern Bengal and Assam. The scheme of partition of Bengal was implemented on October 16, 1905. The main motive for the partition of Bengal, according to the British rulers, was administrative necessity. Means, according to the British government, Bengal was too big to be efficiently administered by a single provincial government. But the real motive behind the partition of Bengal was that Bengal was one of the largest provinces of India with an area of 4,89,500 square kilometers. It had a huge population of 80 million people comprising Hindu, Bengalis and Bengali Muslims. According to the nationalist historians, the British partitioned Bengal because they wanted to stop the rising tide of nationalism, as Bengal was the nerve center of nationalism at that time. Then second point, to reduce Bengalis to a minority in Bengal itself. To reduce Bengalis to a minority in Bengal itself. Then third point, to divide the Hindus and the Muslims. Okay? So these are the real motive behind the partition of Bengal. Then the anti-partition movement. The nationalists saw the partition of Bengal as a challenge to the Indian nationalism. A strong agitation flared up and assumed national character. This agitation is known as the anti-partition movement. The anti-partition movement started on 7th August 1905 with a massive demonstration. The partition came into effect on October 16, 1905. This day was observed in Bengal as a day of mourning. The day of partition was observed as Raksha Bandhan Day, when the Hindus and the Muslims tied Rakhis on each other's wrist as the symbol of their unity. The movement gave an impetus to the concept of Swadeshi and boycott. Okay, then you can read from the book also People's Reaction. From there also another some points are given, like the streets of Kolkata were full of the crash of Bande Mataram, and Rabindranath Tagore composed the patriotic song Amar Sonar Bangla. Okay, so other points also given there. You can read. Then the impact of the anti-partition movement. The partition of Bengal, along with the anti partition movement, accelerated the nationalist movement by spreading it among the general masses. The people rose up in unity to resist, to suffer, and to sacrifice. Then the Swadeshi and boycott movement. Swadeshi means of one's own country. Swadeshi movement aimed at the promotion of indigenous industries in India. Boycott movement means abstaining from the purchase of British goods as a form of protest. Swadeshi and boycott were used as weapons of political agitation and a training in self sufficiency for the attainment of Swaraj. British goods were burnt at public places and shops selling them were picketed. The spirit of Swadeshi spread to almost every walk of life industries, education, culture, literature, and all. Then also the British government reacted for that. The people also lost the faith in the fair play and justice of the British. The anti partition agitation backfired the plans of Lord Curzon. It gave added strength to the national movement. Then we will read the Surat split of 1907. The Swadeshi movement cast its shadow on the growing difference between the early nationalist and the assertive nationalist. The assertive nationalists wanted to extend the Swadeshi and boycott movement to the whole of the country, whereas the early nationalists wanted to confine the movement to Bengal only, as it was in conflict with their policy of partition and persuasion. There was disagreement between the two groups on the candidature of the president of the Indian National Congress. The early nationalists they wanted to appoint Rasbihari Ghosh, whereas the assertive nationalists wanted to appoint Lala Lajpat Rai. The split in Congress weakened the national movement as both the wings started working separately. The split in Congress gave the British an opportunity to exploit the situation to their advantage to further widen the gap between the two wings. The British gave concessions to the early nationalists and the Muslims and repression to the assertive nationalists. The difference between the two sections continued. They surfaced again in the next session in 1907 at Surat. The assertive nationalists proposed the name Lala Lajpat Rai as president of Surat session. The early nationalists proposed the name of Rasbihari Ghosh. Then this led to the split in Congress and the assertive nationalist leaders were expelled for 9 years. They remained out of the Congress. The split in Congress was unfortunate because it gave an opportunity to the British to exploit the situation to this advantage, to their advantage, and they adopted the policy of concession and repression. The Surat split also weakened the national movement, and the early nationalists, however, were largely able to capture the Congress organization, and in the Allahabad Convention held in April 1908, the split was formalized. Okay, so up to Surat split, you read page 44, page 45 and page 46. After that we will read about the assertive nationalists. Okay.